There is something about you that the world has yet to truly comprehend, my masterpiece. Not because it is inadvertently concealed, not because something went wrong along the way, but rather because the totality of who I intended you to be is still developing, pressing outward from the inside and blossoming like a structure whose ultimate form has not yet been shown to onlookers who have only seen it through the scaffolding. You've been carrying a weight you can't quite put your finger on, a feeling that you are greater than what you can articulate, a calm, unwavering awareness that the version of yourself that people see on a daily basis is simply a small portion of what lies beneath the surface, beneath the performance, beneath the meticulous self-editing you've learned to do to suit the places others have given you. It's not a fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's not the kind of self-flattery a soul makes up to make up for a deeper sense of failure during times of unease. It is far more genuine than that. It's acknowledgement. The deepest part of you realizes that the plan is accurate. The way a puzzle piece that has been held apart eventually starts to feel the pull of the shape it was intended to complete. Your true self is emerging. Not more impressive, not louder, but more accurate. I sat over you with purpose before I set the world's foundations, before the seas were given their borders and the stars were placed in their proper positions. Not in the broad sense where a creator might encompass everything that is in existence. Specifically, the way a craftsman sits with a single piece of material and thinks about what it can become, what its unique grain, density, and character suggest about the form it can take, and what precise use it is suited for, that nothing else in the workshop is equally suited for. I was not rushed as I sat with the thought of you. I was not creating something commonplace. I was creating something that would be significant in ways that no one could adequately describe. Here, a word is crucial. You were shaped by the events surrounding your birth, before your upbringing started to shape who you are. Prior to that, the individuals in charge of your early years forced their own knowledge, constraints, and expectations on you. I knew you before all of it. What I was developing was already in my head. The world's additions to you were extensions of something that always existed. They influenced how the plan was expressed, sometimes in a beneficial way, sometimes not. However, they were unable to identify the pattern. They were preceded by the design. It didn't rely on them. They won't limit it. What the world put in you after you were born does not take away from what I put in you before you were born. The original is still there. It has never gone away. And when I talk about who you are, I'm referring to it. Each and every detail was selected. The specific way your brain connects concepts, the unique quality of your focus when you are genuinely interested in something, the exact way you perceive a space as soon as you walk in, the extent of your ability to provide care, your humor's distinct form, the specific things that cause you heartbreak, the specific things that give you life. These weren't any defaults. None resulted from a developmental accident or a random combination. Every quality I imparted to you was necessary, because without it, the foundation of what I am doing through you would be weakened. You are not an early draft of a better version that I haven't had time to finish. You are the completed piece that is still developing into its whole and taking up the area I intended for it. Think about what it means to be constructed with this level of care. A room is not inadvertently included, or a load-bearing wall is not positioned carelessly by an architect planning a large construction. Every choice is the result of calculations. A staircase's angle is intentional. A ceiling's height is deliberate. A window's placement is determined by factors that contribute to the overall function. Nothing in a structure designed by a skilled craftsman is random. Everything is there because it is supposed to be there. I wasn't improvising when I created the architecture of who you are. I was carrying out a strategy that I had come up with, fully aware of what it would have to do. And each component of the blueprint fulfills that function. What you own is not an assortment of haphazard traits put together without planning. It is a deliberate kit, a collection of abilities put together to address specific demands that exist in various locations within your own reality. Your sensitivity is not a flaw that should be addressed with an apology or coerced into compliance. This type of equipment is known as precision instrumentation, and it is capable of detecting things that other instruments would completely miss. You shouldn't let your curiosity divert you from more important tasks. It is an integrated search system designed to find items that need to be found, to observe what people pass by without stopping, and to follow inquiries in directions that produce answers that would never be discovered by those who are more efficient and inquisitive. Your perseverance isn't intransigence disguised in more polite terms. It serves as the foundation for everything I am constructing with you. The structure is jeopardized if it is removed. Every trait you've spent years questioning, every trait you've attempted to control, repress or alter because it didn't meet the expectations of the surroundings you've lived in, was ingrained in you because it was required. Because without it, there would be a crucial element missing from the specific work that only you are capable of. Without knowing the purpose of the building, you have been attempting to renovate it. You've been viewing the load-bearing walls as ornamental and wondering why the structure continues to seem shaky. The design does not contain the instability. The attempt to be something other than what was intended is what causes the instability. When I think about you, I feel a certain happiness. It is not the general warmth I feel for anything I have created. Let me be clear about what I mean by that. However, that warmth is genuine and permeates all of creation. I'm talking about something more specific than that. The unique satisfaction of giving a piece of work their full attention, and who, upon completion, looks at the finished product and knows that it turned out perfectly. Not flawless in every superficial way, perfectly suited for the intended use at the start of the project. That's what makes me happy about you. You turned out perfectly for the purpose for which I created you. There was a moment of satisfaction when the final aspect of your identity was finalized before you took your first breath. Instead of pride in the sense of self-congratulation, it was the sense of satisfaction that a builder experiences when they solve a challenging structural challenge and the solution turns out to be sound. You were a challenging and lovely idea to carry out. It's no coincidence that the specific set of traits I gave you interact, reinforce, and occasionally cause conflict with one another. It's an extremely complex piece of engineering, and the outcome was precisely what I had hoped for. You may have wished you were different for extended periods of time. I wish you were more like someone else whose abilities are more apparent, acknowledged, and rewarded by the situations you have both experienced. I wish you were more articulate, more comfortable in big groups, more self-assured by nature, more organized, more spontaneous, or more of whatever other than who you are at your core. And I can see the motivation behind that desire. The environment has a way of making it clear, often loudly and repeatedly, that some people are more valuable than others, and that some qualities are rewarded with greater attention, acknowledgement, and conversational space. It is also quite easy to start thinking that your qualities are inferior when they are not the ones that are praised. However, my plans and what the world rewards are not always the same. Frequently, they are not even remotely similar. What I created in you was not intended for the specific reward structures set up by human culture. It was designed to meet needs that those reward schemes frequently overlook. To go to areas where applauding is ineffective. To carry out work that transforms lives without making headlines. A gift's worth is not determined by how visible it is. Its function serves as a gauge, and your unique talents are still in use today, even during times when they seem unnoticed by others and unseen to you. Allow me to explain the plan in simple terms. I want to share with you what I notice when I examine the architecture of your identity. Not with the critical gaze of a person listing flaws. Not with the dissatisfied evaluation of someone who was hoping for something different and is attempting to reconcile with what they received. With the clear, contented gaze of the person who originally created the plans and is familiar with them. Before the world had a chance to start the gradual process of persuading you that you were a lesser version of something better, I saw the original blueprint, the structure I planned, and the kid I created. I don't see the altered version of you. The version of yourself that has learnt which aspects of yourself are safe to display and which must be carefully controlled. is not the one you show at work, at family get-togethers, or in the way you navigate situations where you are aware that you are being evaluated. The complete version is what I see, the version that is present beneath all management, the one that sometimes comes up when you're totally relaxed and forgot to act, when you are so deeply involved in something that the surveillance disappears and you are left being the person you truly are. The desired version is that one. I was thinking of that version. That is the soul that is truly worth being, free from the draining act of trying to fit in. When that version of you appears, I want you to take note of something. When it does, observe what happens to those in your immediate vicinity. Something in the room shifts when you stop acting and start being. It's not because you've grown impressive. You've become real. That's why. And it's disarming to be authentic in a world where performances abound. People tend to lean in its direction. Sometimes they don't know why. They simply know that when you stopped controlling yourself and began just being there, something changed. The pattern is what they are reacting to. The real thing I created, briefly becoming accessible without the customary filtration. Additionally, people can distinguish between someone who is there and someone who is performing, even if they are unable to express their emotions. Thus, it reaches people in ways that the filtered version cannot. Beneath all that has occurred to you, the blueprint remains intact. The architecture I put in you is still sound, structurally sound, and capable of being completely inhabited, despite the layers of disappointment, self-doubt, accommodation, and careful expectation management. Currently, the work is not renovation. The task is occupation, rather than progress toward anything distinct. Taking up residence in the person you already are, the soul you were meant to be, and enabling that person to fully participate in the world around you. This is the reason you are hearing these words at this certain time of year. It's not because everything is set up already, and it's not because the trip has been simple or the destination is already apparent. Rather, it's because something inside of you is prepared to hear it and see the blueprint clearly, possibly for the first time without the overlay of other people's expectations or your own collected self-criticism. The time has come for this way of seeing, and when you look without that overlay, you see a blueprint deserving of your complete attention, a fully and unreservedly desirable human being. Before we go, I want you to strongly hold that truth. You were intentionally created. Every aspect of your identity was thoughtfully and intentionally placed there. It's an active pattern. The calling is genuine. Furthermore, the whole of who I created you is not waiting for you in a future where you must first transform into someone else. Is accessible to you right now in the life you currently lead as the person you are. This season's manifestation of you is not a new version of yourself. It is your complete self. And I experience the intense joy of a maker witnessing a structure at last be completely utilized as I watch that emergence.